And the title of my talk is Living in Two Worlds at One Time. And how do we do that? How to live our spiritual life and our physical, material life at the same time. Okay, so that's what I'm going to talk about today. Now, I need to take my glasses off to read. Okay? So, living in two worlds at one time means living in the material world of planet Earth, in our physical body, and at the same time living in the spiritual world of the Source, or God, or whatever you want to call it. Some people call it the Source, some people call it God, some people call it the cosmos, some people call it all that is, the universe. You know, it doesn't actually matter what we call it, because it just is, it's out there, and we're one with it. And that's why we have that expression, to be one with all things. Right? That's our spiritual part. So, and at the same time today I'm going to refer to some of these little books, which are got nice little quotes in them, but it's also me promoting them for you to buy later. Not this one. So this one says, you live in two worlds at one time. Okay? You need to make your spiritual understanding practical in today's society. Otherwise, what's the point? As you mature spiritually, you begin to realize that society is an organized, creative system that allows you to live and work with others. And this is from The Real You. And those of you that know me know that Thomas and I are involved with the Inner Peace movement that was founded by Dr. Francisco Cole. And this is one of his books. So, it allows us to live and work with others, which means that in the physical world on planet Earth, we need to use that as a means of learning and growing spiritually. Anyone ever thought, why am I here? What am I here to do? What's my purpose? Okay, well, I'm going to tell you. Your purpose is to learn and grow spiritually. Because, essentially, we are energy. So why do you think we have traffic lights, for an example? They said, you stop at the red light. You can go, it's your turn. Okay, it's practical. It keeps us organised, it keeps us respecting each other. Okay, it's my turn now. You have to wait for me. You will get a turn. Right? Your turn will come, even though it's 3 o'clock in the morning and you might be tempted to run through the red light. You can. You've got free will. Just don't get caught. You know, that's living on planet Earth practically. Okay, so first and foremost, we are energy. Now, I've referred to this in the past, and some of you got a bit bored with me talking about energy. But actually, it's all we are. You know, it's all we are. Has anyone seen a dead person, someone who's just passed on? What do they look like?
No energy.
No energy. They look like that person physically, but the energy's gone. So the soul part is gone. The real you always was and always will be. And that is your soul part, your energy. Okay, so as a soul in a physical body living on planet Earth, we're here to learn and grow spiritually. So we might as well be conscious of that. So part of what I'm going to talk about today is how to live on planet Earth in a more practical way. So, we came into each lifetime, and if you don't relate to this, having many lifetimes, you've got plenty of chances. You don't have to get it right all at once, you know. And when I first understood that, I thought, phew, thank goodness for that. because I grew up as a Catholic, and it was like, oh, you must do this and you must do that. And all hail to Catholicism, because at the heart of it, there's good. But once we get into do's and don'ts and rights and wrongs, then it's not so spiritual anymore, right? It's more manipulative and not clear motives. I remember when my youngest child left home and went to university in another town. And I said this to all of them when they left high school. I'd say, look, my job's done, you're on your own. All right, I'll be here for you, but it's up to you now. And I said, you don't have to follow the same spiritual path as me. Whatever you choose is totally fine. Just any time you're following a particular path and you hear someone say, you can't do that or you mustn't do this, go, leave, run away, because that's not spiritual anymore, right? It's too religious. So as a soul and a physical body, we have free will, and our free will is part of my respect for you and your respect for me. So like I said with the traffic lights, just don't get caught. Now, just imagine, take yourself back for a moment before you came into this lifetime. And there was a stirring of your soul. It's time for me to do a bit more learning. I haven't quite got it all yet. So it's like, yes, the time is right now. Now I can take another physical body. Now I can do a bit more learning. So imagine that feeling of eagerness. Right, it's time. However, there's quite a lot of preparation to be done. We need to choose some parents who will agree to be the vehicle for my physical body. So now we have contracts. We have contracts with our parents, our environment we come into, and we choose some help. Anytime you feel like you've been guided, yeah, you're guided, you've got help. Just like a contract, right? And with the people that we share our lives with, partners. And sometimes when the contract is over, it's over. Time to move on. Sometimes a contract is for most of our adult life. Anyway, I don't want to get into all of that, but bottom line is, it's our choice, free will. Can't blame anyone for anything that happens in my life. And that kind of stuck with me. It took me about 2 weeks to really absorb that. I thought, oh no, so much easier to blame. Isn't it? So much easier. Gee whiz. Sorry, some Kiwiisms will start coming in. All right, now, so to add to that, which one am I looking at? Balancing. Okay. These little books are all to do with a spiritual life. And part of what this says, and this is a quote from George Bernard Shaw. It says, independence. That's middle class blasphemy. We are all dependent on one another, every soul of us on earth. And then the little explanation says, no one can survive here on planet Earth alone. Without communication with others, we cannot grow. So we do need each other. We need to be involved. And our lessons, our spiritual lessons, come from our involvement. How much do I want to be involved with life? And that takes a bit of work. Because, hey, I don't like the way you talk to me sometimes. But there's a lesson in that. And hey, what we see in others, we have in ourselves. And that took me a while to get used to that one as well. I like the good part. I like acknowledging all the good in you. But the things that annoy me in you, I've got that too. So when you're involved, you have experiences. And while you are experiencing, you have to communicate. If you do not communicate, there is no wisdom and no growth. So you automatically limit your growth and your impact if you work alone. Your time and energy are limited. However, if you join others, you can do greater things. And, this is why spiritual communities come together. That's why we have teamwork, even in a work situation, so that we can, what does it say? Do greater things. And to me that's, and when that happens, this is such a feeling of fulfillment. That's one. Now, being your inner harmony. So, we need to keep the big picture of what and where and why about everything we do. So if we get up every morning and think, okay, I'm off and don't plan ourselves, okay, what am I doing? When am I doing it? Why am I doing it? Before we move, then just imagine how much more direction we have. So then we move at the speed of light. Then Spirit, or the all, or whatever you want to call it, knows what we want to achieve. So we have a lot more backing. If we're going off in all sorts of directions without really knowing why and what we're getting out of it, then it's haphazard, right? There's not the same energy there. So if you want to be more successful with yourself, start becoming more decisive about what you want to do. Then go ahead and do it without worrying if you're doing the right thing. And what I like about the key word for the day here at Unity is that even if we do that one thing, look at the key word for the day, at least we're coming back to our true nature as a soul. So we're starting each day from our spiritual soul part, and then we can move into our physical. Remember, we're living in two worlds at one time. That's that one. Now we have this one. This little one, Discover Yourself, is actually a very powerful book. It says, so much time is spent each day in eating, sleeping and working. Well, we need to do that because we're in the physical body. And of course it's necessary to carry on these activities while living in the world. However, do not lose sight of the fact that you are a spirit rather than just a body. This body is only temporary. Much as you might love it and look after it and love to feed it, one day you're going to leave it. You're going to leave it behind. Now, all you take with you, and me too, I include myself in that, is my spiritual understanding. What have I learnt this lifetime? That is what I take with me. That's all. Can't take my favourite dog. Well, Thomas, I can't take him. Bless him as much as I do. And he doesn't want to come with me anyway. All right, or my favourite piece of furniture. The material things of life are enjoyable, but not really so important. The vital need for everyone is the expansion of the soul and the growth into a higher awareness. And I really learnt this. It was a big lesson for me when I left New Zealand for a long time, the first time. I sold the family home and I still had all this furniture and belongings that I couldn't part with. No, loved them too much. So my sister, bless her, had a spare bedroom. So she let me put all my furniture and belongings into her spare bedroom. And I went away overseas teaching for a year. I came back after a year and opened up the door to my furniture and I hardly recognised it. Because I hadn't been with it. And that taught me a lot. It taught me a lot about letting go. And here I am letting go again. So if anybody's needs any kitchen stuff, we've got it. And we're giving it away. So planet Earth is transient. And as souls, we are eternal. Always were and always will be. But our physical bodies are for a short time, so let's not fret the small stuff. I think there's a book called that, Not Fretting the Small Stuff. At the time it feels big. Feels like I'll never get out of this mire. But we always do. I look back at my dark moments from the past and think, oh yeah, that was an experience. I don't want to do it again, but, I learnt from it. But it doesn't mean that we become complacent, because we still need to be in action. Because it's in action, as I said before, that we do the most learning and growing. Remember, your state of consciousness is the only thing that continues to exist into eternity. Now, if you imagine, and we can't imagine in our physical eternity. For us in the physical, it feels like there will be an end, but there is no end. So if you imagine this lifetime as one in however many, like the blink of an eye, and I love to click my fingers, but I'm not good at it. Each lifetime is like the blink of an eye. And I know that isn't easy to comprehend, but that's the reality, right? So what I'm coming to is to start each day with a 15-minute preparation of some kind. And that song that you said for us about praying, whether you call it prayer or meditation or just reading a page out of a book and giving it some thought, that's all it needs. You don't have to get into great oms. Oms are great, because I do oms too. But, in our busy everyday life, you can do oms at the weekend when you've got a bit more time. But in the morning, because you've got to go to work, 15 minutes, even if you have to give up 15 minutes earlier, time to yourself. I feel very blessed that Thomas and I do this together in the morning, right? And even if you can't do that with whatever your situation is, doing it on your own is still powerful. So what has really helped me the most, and those of you that know me will know that I have been successful in my life, and it started from the time when I really was conscious of having my own keyword for the day. And that used to amaze me, I'd just close my eyes and just relax and allow a word to come into my mind. And it always did. Didn't have to try hard. If you're trying hard, then you're too intellectual. Just keep it in your feelings. So write down a key word for the day. Or even read the Unity keyword, but you can do both. My suggestion is you do both. Have your own personal word plus the Unity word, if you like that. And then decide what you want to accomplish that day and continue on as a list. And when I started doing this, and I was in quite a high pressure head of department job, so I had so many things to do. How was I going to do it all in a day? What I find was happen, I'd get to the end of the day and I would just highlight out when I had achieved each thing. I'd get to the end of the day and some things that I thought were really important didn't get done. I thought, So they would go on to the list again for the next day. And sometimes that thing was there for a week. But, oh my gosh. But then, if it wasn't for me to do, it would suddenly disappear. But if it was for me to do, when the time was right, it took about 10 minutes rather than 2 hours. Right? So what I'm saying is, we are energy, and I can't come back to that enough. And the more focus we have on what we want to achieve, and writing it down somehow solidifies it. It works. Okay. So what we have here is learning or moving through each day in a conscious way as a soul in a physical body, not a physical body with a soul, because you are energy and you are so powerful. That's what all these people are telling us. If you imagine that we are one with all things, then we are one with all the energy of the universe, which is infinite. It's only the physical that makes it feel finite. So we can move mountains. And the thing that has helped me most recently is learning to live my goals before they happen. Live it in my consciousness. When I'm walking to my office, I'm going, yep, wonderful, I've got $1 million in my bank account. Wow-wee, thank you, thank you, thank you. It's not there yet, but I'm consciously feeling it and feeling so happy about it and grateful. Okay, so I'll leave it at that. However, these little books, and we've got heaps. We've got lots of little examples of little... I learnt once that to change a habit, we need to consciously work on it every day for 30 days. Now, some of these little books are 30-day, so there's one for each day. Just a page, very small, and it just helps us start the day from our true nature as a soul. And before I conclude, I just want to publicly thank Shannon for her beautiful, what's it called? Dreamcatcher, yes. Because I have dreams. Isn't that absolutely gorgeous? Mm-hmm. And if you look at it and just tune into the feeling of that, she put so much love into that I can feel that I will keep with me as we journey back to New Zealand. For me, this is the beginning of a new adventure in my life. I'm officially retiring. I don't feel tired, but instead of feeling like, oh, you know, I spent all this time and energy and qualifications and blah, 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 what am I going to do with it now? Well, I'm going to be more creative. I'm going to tune into my creative side. That's my plan. That's what I'm envisaging. And so it's an open invitation to come and visit New Zealand. You're all welcome. Anyway, some of these are $5 each. If you feel you'd like one, or just have a browse through them, entirely up to you. And there's a little envelope here. So I want to thank you for giving me the opportunity to talk today, and on behalf of Thomas as well. You know, this spiritual community attracted us because, as the welcome thing says, welcome all creeds and all walks of life. And we felt that. You know, we went around different places, and we've stayed here because of that one truth, that as a soul in a physical body, there's no right or wrong, there's no greater than or lesser than, and everyone has their own truth. And we found that here in Unity. So we thank you for that, and thank you for letting us share.